Welcome everyone joining. We are now all the meeting to order, and first off, welcome our newest board member. That's it.
Thank you all. I'm so happy to be here.
Introduce yourself.
All right, I can do that. My name is Dr. Janessa Kilgore-Bowling. I am actually the chair of the School of Social Work at the University of Pikeville, and I am going to be the CSW representative on the board. I'm so excited to be here and to be part of this service-oriented, very important work.
So glad, thank you for your willingness to serve on this board.
Absolutely.
You don't make any money on this, just like other social work positions, you know.
But you get to make a lot of friends.
Yeah, you do that, but if we have to swear you in,
I'm ready.
you are ready. She has reviewed the Kentucky oath of office, so we will do that. I do solemnly swear or affirm,
I do solemnly swear or affirm,
as the case may be,
as the case may be,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
so long as I continue to be a citizen thereof,
so long as I continue to be a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully execute,
and that I will faithfully execute
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability
the office of the Kentucky Board of Social Work.
the office
according
of
to law.
the office of the Kentucky Board of Social Work according to law.
And I do solemnly swear or affirm
And I do solemnly swear or affirm
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
I, being a citizen of this state,
I, being a citizen of the state,
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
within the state,
within this state,
nor out of it,
nor out of this state,
nor have I sent
nor have I sent
or accepted a challenge
or accepted a challenge
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
nor have I acted as a second in carrying out a challenge,
nor have I acted as a second in carrying out a challenge,
nor aided or assisted any person in thus offering or thus offending.
Say that for me again.
I know. Not aided or assisted any person thus offending.
Not aided or assisted any person thus offending,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Love that. Okay. That's a lot of history.
Lots of history.
We're probably the only state in the Union that still has this thing
Ask
about
about a
duels.
duel.
So, you know, welcome to our visitors. I'm sure glad you get to witness this always because it is very unique.
We did ask, I did ask what deadly weapon meant, like full noodle, because I've got two boys, you never know what may have happened.
Oh, goodness. All right. Did you get all that, Laura?
Yes, I did. Thank you. They sent it to me early. I'm not sure where it went, but
all
yeah.
right. Brooke? Ms. Covey?
What? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Thing on the minutes, anybody? The minutes from last meeting?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, all the minutes have been sent out to, the members of the board. Does anybody have any changes that they would like to make?
Hearing none? Entertain a motion for approval? So
Motion
moved.
for approval?
Second? Second, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Let's see, the operations report, Mr. Kelly.
Applications, LSW 5, CSW 63, LCSW 53. Renewals, LSW 5, CSW 50, LCSW 87. Temporary permits, clinical 8. Non-clinical 0. Supervision contracts approved 72. Deferred 0. I approved 2 providers and 3 sponsorships. And we currently have 7,761 licensed social workers.
Right.
And we'd like to welcome our new employee, Brooke Jones. She's doing an awesome job already. We're happy that she's here.
Good. If you haven't met Brooke, I've never answered the phone,
Yes, she is.
which is a great help for her. Five's good.
Yes.
Any questions for the operations report?
I don't
Tiffany?
think so.
Okay. Motion to approve. Move.
Second.
Second. Motion and second to approve the operations report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. On to finances. Whitney's not here, so I'll get, kind of overview for July. Income $56,360.12. Expenditures were $32,237.67. So. Good for July. If you want to see the whole report, you can. I've got it here. I won't go into a lot. It's kind of, it shows our full budget, our total income, et cetera, for last year was $517,478, $74.25. And, balance, $799,479.09. So. It's pretty important. Some folks in order that same thing, anything on that finance on the. So, like we, as we have the. As we've been saying the last couple of meetings, especially, say it again, it's like we have full access to all of our funds now. We don't have the hoops we have jumped through before, which is really good because we can, plan a little bit better and make expenditures that we know we need. And we talk about the biggest one in 2 minutes, but the good news is that we still remain as an independent board. We get no taxpayer money. We pay the state for the use of these rooms and our equipment, et cetera. So the state actually makes money off of us versus the other way around. And we would, I for one, speaking just for myself, I like it that way. So, like that. Part of the finance, I need a motion for approval for the per diem for today's meeting for all participants. So move. Second.
Aye. Second.
Okay, all right, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Mr. Icon. Please. Yeah, we're there. So it's next.
All right, so we have several to present today. The first one we have is case number 2439-24-39 that involved dual relationship and or boundary violations. Committee, after thorough review, recommends further investigation of the incident complaint by the contracted investigator and seek the board's authorization of the expense. So basically, we want to recommend this for further review by the investigator. Because of the complexity of the case.
Questions? Oh, it's a committee of two, so we don't need a motion or a second. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, then we have case number 2445, 24-45. Also is about dual relationship and or boundary violations and some misrepresentation. This also, the committee recommends a further investigation of the incident complaint by the contracted investigator and seeks the board's authorizations of the expense. Again, the same thing, complex case, multi-facet complaint. And so we would like to recommend our investigators input before we can make a final recommendation.
Questions? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
All right, the next one is case number 2446, 24-46. This case involves, supervision, some questions about if the practice of social worker made the criteria for supervision, was it clinical in nature? The complaint was elicited by the employer, educational institution, so there are again, it's pretty complex, and a lot of facets to it, so we again would like further investigation of the complaint by the investigator and seeks the board's authorizations of the expense.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
See, the first time I remember so many cases going to investigator
Got a
in
thing
1
here.
month, sometimes this is, it works. Next one is we have case number 2450, 24-50. Again, this also involves dual illicit and boundary violation. This also after further review by the committee, we recommend investigation of the illicit complaint by the contracted investigator and seeks the board's authorization here for the expense.
Questions? In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed?
And just for educational purpose, community typically, we recommend, the review by the investigator if there's so much involved in the complaint that we feel that it requires a lot of involvement, and interviewing parties and stuff like that, that we cannot manage ourselves. All right, case number 2452, 24-52. There's some questions about the appropriateness of clinical recommendation by a social worker. After further review, we recommend dismissal. There's insufficient evidence to support the initiating complaint.
This is unusual case. It's a complaint from another board, another state board. This person is licensed in multiple states. So it's forwarded from another board to us. It's a complaint, the essence of it is does the person have qualifications to recommend an emotional support animal? And we find that there's no evidence to suggest that licensing. So, all in favor of dismissal? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, the last one we have to present today is case number 2453, 24-53. It involves dual relationship and boundary violation. So basically an employee, had a prior commitment with the client, decided to move forward with their commitment after not being employed by the agency anymore. At which time the relationship had to be terminated and any work had to be done by their assigned case manager, therapist, whatnot. So the committee recommends assurance of voluntary compliance. Assurance of voluntary compliance, the person has admitted with the allegations in the complaint. So we recommend assurance of voluntary compliance.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's all I got.
All right. And in case,
It's enough, right?
yeah, just in case that your case number did not come up today, means that there's further deliberations to be done on that before we can make the report to the board. And, our attorney wants to comment on anything by that. You, sir, got to introduce Mr. Nichols, who's filling in for Mr. Bringelman. He's an associate of Mr. Bringelman, so.
So the general practice for our committee is if anything is in the docket for this month, we typically review and process and make recommendations for this month. If we don't, that means we have requested further information from either the respondent or complainant, and we are further reviewing. So if it's not presented today, that means it's pending. Maybe next month or the following month.
Our commitment is to get to the complaints as soon as possible. And just in case some people are listening again, it's like our attorney associate is here today. Our attorney has been out, he's out with COVID right now. He also had family stuff, so it's delayed to some things because we have to have the legal advice as we go forward, and so we're respecting those kind of things that come up. So that does unfortunately slow things down, but that's just the nature. Thank you, sir. And let's see, applications. Ms. Guffey?
Okay, so, Lori and I did go over these in a separate meeting and, we have two applications to discuss. Applicant one is requesting to take the CSW exam. Graduated from U of L earlier this year. We're okay with, this applicant testing. Any felonies that were noted, on the application are over 25 years old, and this applicant has taken steps to kind of like go in a path of betterment and wanting to help those like he was helped. So yeah, so just wanted to say that one is okay to test for applicant one.
Okay.
Any questions with that?
Favor? Aye.
Okay. And then, applicant, number one, or applicant number two, excuse me, we had requested some paperwork that we received, so it was one that was deferred. We have now received that, so, that applicant is also okay to test per a committee of two.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That's all, two.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
And Vanessa has agreed to join you to learn the application process as a new board member.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks so much. Welcome.
Or you can join with them, and you can meet ahead of time by video or whatever to review that. So in case you can't be here at the meeting, then you can get that process done for us to move the applications along. And believe it or not, there are some states who do not have this process, and so that felony not to go out of license. So I'm glad that we have the process that keeps that from happening. So thank you all. All right, old business. The leadership committee for our Association of Social Workers, ASWB, was last weekend in Pueblo outside of Albuquerque. And I attended as a member of the DEIJ committee, and Whitney attended as a member of the education committee. And I was meeting of the board and all the committee members. The committee members have to review the year and set things for next year and then report to the board. So we had to meet with the board. It was very, my first experience with that kind of setup and rather interesting. Can fill you in on some more details like that offline because you don't want to bore everybody here, so. Anyway, the delegate assembly is November 8th and 9th, and we need two, that's the administrator and one delegate goes, and then any other board member may attend as well. And we have a policy, if you want to attend, the board will reimburse you for your expenses. The delegate and the administrators are paid for by our membership at ASW, but we do have to designate a delegate. So
Where is that one, Hank?
that will be in Washington. See. I passed. Anybody want? I typically it's the chair who's the delegate and the officer, you only have one ED, so. So that's how that works. So if there's if that's okay with everybody, we'll continue with that process. New board member training, again, that's also in Washington. When?
Yeah.
I think both of them are. Yeah, October 3rd, 4th, Genesia and Tiffany, that's, y'all can register for that online. You can go. Your expenses are paid because of our membership. So, it's a good training. Best thing about it, is just networking with other boards, to get ideas and to make connections with them to know what's going on, because you'll find out that we don't all have the same laws or operate the same way. So it's good to get inputs from.
And I've said it before, it's a good time.
That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear.
It is a good time. One of the.
Might be a fun time to be in DC right now too, right?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be right after.
Right around that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, right. So if you have other agenda, you might, yeah. On your own. That's the way we go. Applications, our application software, Mark and I met with the vendor, we're moving forward, he got the checklist done, that they want, and now we okayed the final screens that will appear out. So we are, I think they'll give us, after this, they're gonna give us a go live date, which means they'll start again with new applicants and then work on the renewals. So the new applicants, they will create their profile and send in their applications. And then there's a very nice, as y'all saw the demo, so that if there's anything missing, staff will know that and can email from the system to get to them. Long term, it's good. It's not when you're renewed, you can upload your CDs, just that Mark can review those, make sure everything's over, renew the license. And since we renew every month, it'll phase in. So, I think we're ready to start pulling some data. Ness is working on, Brooke, I think has helped with working on some cleaning up of some of the data. So we incorporate, obviously, there's what they call legacy data, which we keep the data, but it won't be in the new system because it's way too much, because we have all those who are ceased. We still have records of them, so we'll have them. It's just that won't be able to get them out of the new system because we don't need to pull in all that data. We have over 17,000 those, if you, in case you didn't know, records of individuals with licenses since we started, so that's a lot. Very well, actually, just since the electronic starts, we don't have stuff again before that because it was not put in. So that's just since what, 2003? Was it 4? I don't remember that before. So anyway, but anyway, at least that shows that. So we're getting closer. It's if you y'all don't know. The thing is with the tech stuff like that, they do have, and I appreciate the company being very methodical in doing this so that if you set it up wrong, then you pay for it later. So it's better to go through it step by step and making sure that we've got it what we want it. It doesn't mean we can't make changes, it just means we don't have any super expensive changes. And it's a good thing we found out about having to track this county of residents now before later, because it would have been a huge expense to add that later. And we've never collected that before, so it was glad we got that piece. And we're hoping there's not anything else out there that we don't know about. And we're doing it ahead of time. It was gonna be an array, but it let drop. But we're doing it anyway because it's probably gonna go in at some point. And could give us an idea of where our social worker licensees are, which county, and we're using county of residence because somebody might live in one place but work in 2 different counties. So, but at least right now, all the thing we can do is take the zip code and zip codes over that county. So that's the only thing we can do right now. So it will be good for us to be able to do that. So really, like I say, it's been a little bit slower, but I'm glad they're taking that extra step. Asked us because we had the meeting this week, it was like, do I need that?
Yeah.
No, don't skip that. So it was like, whoa. So it was, there's a couple of really important questions that we got clarified that could have created issues, but it will be good. And the best news is, I was telling you with finances, the best news about this, we can purchase this without any increase in fees for anybody. And it will make it far more efficient, make it more efficient for our staff as well as our licensing. Just the biggest caution is don't create more than one profile. Don't put in more than one person, I mean, you can have multiple emails, it's your email and, if you update your email, change it. So that we don't have, oh, well, wait a minute, You did the renewal over here, but you're over here and that creates problems. So,
Can the software flag it though, like other, social, you go try to put the license number and open a new account, it says you're already in the system.
well, hopefully they will have that will
That'd be-
block it, but people, you can't. Problem is you can't assume people always know their license number
Right.
and type it correctly. That's the.
I hope they put their
I
license.
know, but people, when they type, they can mistype it, and then it creates a new.
Wallet card.
I know, well, and that's the good news too, when you get your license, the wallet card will be with it.
Mhm.
I love the wallet card, so
Me too.
it does that, so I can pull it out and make sure I got the digit.
Yeah, me too.
So it will come together, you won't be two separate pieces, which we did. I think that'll be a good help, because then they get both pieces, you know, when you get your license, you get the wallet card at the bottom, you don't have to order it separately. And, so I think that would be a good start.
I actually put it on my phone,
I know.
as a phone number.
That's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Hey, can I add one thing?
Sure.
Also, once you pass your exam, don't go back and apply again. Please, they will charge you another non-refundable fee and you will not get that $25 back.
That's a really,
So
thank you
just
for.
email us or enter the confirmation number in the new system.
So that revenue is going to the software, not board, right?
Correct.
So when you say that, you're talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So don't, if you pass the test, you've already applied, you have to
Yes.
apply before you take the test.
Correct.
Only have to apply once.
Yes.
So only pay the 25 once, don't, don't pay it again. Right. If the CE has a Kentucky number on it, or the SWB on it, don't pay for $10 to have it approved when it's already here.
Yeah.
People do that,
That
it's just,
happens a lot.
I know, it happens more often than, we just don't want people paying more than they have to.
And we auto approve Ohio also, don't we?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so there's more than just.
Yeah, lots of ways to get CEs without having to submit it, pay $10 and it's already approved, but then you already paid it. So, we can't,
The main one is the Kentucky Ethics.
I know, that's the thing,
Specific
like
providers.
to get that.
Yeah.
Here, yeah.
The rest
Yeah.
is all.
Very good. Okay, applications, the compact meeting, the first meeting of the compact will be September 17th. It will be a virtual meeting, so Mark and I will be attending online. There's a packed agenda. And
Is that an open meeting time?
yes, it's an open meeting. They will, I don't know how they're gonna advertise it, but we'll probably end up putting it on our website or something. So it's a public meeting, so anybody.
I thought so. I think it'd be really interesting to attend.
It would be interesting to
Yeah.
attend, so I would say if anybody wants to attend, we'll give the, they said they would send more information, yes, they haven't,
Well, and I would encourage, like, all of our
oh,
licensees
yeah,
to
right, I
watch
would
that
say,
meeting.
to watch the meeting, you probably, no, I don't know if anybody can take off the whole day, because it starts at 9 AM, ends at 5, so you might not wanna attend, I mean, if you
That's
can.
intense.
A lot of Zoom.
It's a lot of Zoom. It's a lot of Zoom. I mean, it starts at 9 and I think it's going to 5 and then.
Well, maybe if they send out an agenda, maybe there's parts of it that are more pertinent to what you're
Yeah.
interested in, and you can go there. Cause I would really encourage students to attend to those that are looking at licensure.
Yeah.
To see how it's gonna impact them in the future. That's my education plug, right? I just think it's really important. It doesn't just impact those of us who are already licensed, but those who are looking at licensure, soon, so.
There's 22 states.
And for people like myself who can't, Hank and Mark will give us a summarization the following board meeting.
Yes. So we want to get that because, it's good that the first meeting has to get done, then start the regular meeting so that all the stuff gets done, so we know what we have to do as far as being able to issue the first multi-state licenses from Kentucky, so.
Yes, like planning.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's like, yeah, it's a long time in coming.
Yes.
I've been following this for years. Anyway, good. Well, the next, the most fun part of our meeting is the regulation itself. I would like to, I sent you all the supervision regs, which is the one we're working on. If we could, get maybe through 1, 2, and section 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4, but not necessarily. We can get through those sections and say they're done. Doesn't mean we can't go back to them, but if you read through those, it's like, the first part is just the definition, so don't know if there's anything else needed to be added to the definitions. That everybody's okay with. Yep, you can see the changes. Again, we've, settled on the term virtual versus electronic. Because we decided as a board, we would like virtual to mean, because we had both words and two different meanings. That virtual means face to face, online. Not, audio only and not by email or texting. You can communicate that way, it's just that it won't count for supervision, we want that to be, very much, knowing who that is, all that, so that's section 1. Section 2, not a lot of changes there. And removing like face to face, so it says professional contact. Meaning both in person or virtual. And using the term teletherapy from the definitions, because telehealth doesn't always mean therapy. So it's including both. Some people know, oh, you don't have to, I've heard supervision referred to as telehealth. No, it's not. Supervision is not telehealth. You're not, you're doing supervision. And we avoid, there's other terms like e-supervision, health supervision. Trying to avoid everything's tele, so. We're trying to, walk between those definitions. Mr. Nichols is going to help formulate all this, look it over, make sure we're accurate with whatever and start. That way you'll know which ones to start formatting. That's what Mark said you were gonna be able to do.
Yes,
Okay, all right,
Yes.
perfect,
we've
good,
already started.
perfect. I'm glad you're having that paint job, not me, or Vanessa. We are very happy with that. And again, we've talked about this in, section 2. Oops, there's a misnumbering there, section 3. Or section 4, supposed to be section 3, yeah, that, are we, did I miss a page?
Did I?
Oh, section 3's right below section 2 on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, it's
Hard
just
to
a little
see,
short
sorry.
section.
I forgot to-
That's right, there, period, this is bottom, sorry, missed that, yeah. Section 2, that was the only change in section 2, so I think we're good with that. Section 4, is probably gets into a lot more detail, so maybe you want to try to get some of it done today, or as much as we get done today, so let's, it's okay, let's just, I'll limit it to the next 10 minutes, and then we'll move on with the agenda, because we could be here all day with this. It's a lot of issues.
Just for clarification purpose here, I'm going with the 6 hours supervision.
Right.
See you, Mark. So if someone was to do this 6 hour supervision in the middle of the renewal time, let's say the renewal is in 2025. You ended up doing the training in 2024 to be a supervisor of record, right? So that 6 hours will suffice for that renewal period. And your 3 hours only comes into effect for the renewal in 2028.
Right.
Right, so that they're not doing that 6 hours and another 3 hours.
Right.
Is it correct?
That's
They do the 6 hours, sometimes this is a little confusing here. It says in addition to the 6, you have to do 3 hours, but the 3 hours starts from the next renewal period.
That's the refresher.
Refresher from the next renewal. Okay, very good.
Should we try to make it more clear that that's how that works?
It's sometimes when you're reading it,
It's a little.
it reads differently when you say in addition to this, you need 3 hours, but you don't need anything for that period. You don't need 3 hours. That 6 hours takes you all the way to the next cycle.
Right. And then it's 3 hours in the renewal cycle.
Yeah.
After that to maintain the. Vanessa, just a correction here that I found again. I thought they were gonna add the compact to make it in first, they listed it as 170. KRS 331, remember that
Oh,
quotation?
yes.
They changed it, it's now 135 in the statute, so we don't have to change it. Hey, whatever LRC was finally posted, that's what you get, and when I looked at it again, I go, oh, they changed the number again. Anyway, that's all right, we'll go with the number again. The question, one, we talked about this, do we want, is like for the 2 years. We were talking about it, maybe too high, maybe, we may not want to put, the addition was to add that the supervisor person who wants to be a supervisor, they have to be licensed as an LCSW for 2 years. And we're adding the requirement that they have a certain number of hours of clinical practice. And that's new, but it's also for a reason, because say they got their LCSW, they've been an administrator, but no, I mean, again, do we want a supervisor who hasn't had clinical experience doing supervision when they haven't really done the work? I don't think so.
What sort of proof would we require them to have?
Well, that's the question, would be, if we want to go with that, then we'll probably need to say that we would have to change the application that says they have to submit when they say.
Are we gonna have to have employers?
No, we might have employers do it, or just have them do it, because they might be in private practice.
Yeah,
There'd have to be some metric or on the form for the application itself that says, instead of just your certificate of training, the 6-hour training, you would also have to have documentation that says they've had X number of clients.
so I would ask if we would verify these clinical hours, and if so, how much work are we adding to the current staff that we have?
Well, it's not our staff, is that this would come in, they could fill out the application, then they have to submit the documentation with the application. So that Mark, when he would use the application for a supervisor, he would look and say, they got their 6-hour CE,
Right,
and then,
but would we verify
I know,
those
that's,
4,000?
I don't know if we could.
The only objection I would have about the 2 years.
There's your certificate.
Almost, is if we want to expand the number of supervisors
Yeah.
that supervise, this can discourage and this can exclude some group of people, because it's not unusual in community mental health for a CSW under supervision for 3 years, becoming a CSW, go directly into supervision, be a supervisor, so but they may not have 2 years of direct clinical
Right,
work.
right,
So
yeah.
that's would be my objection. Is,
Every supervisor, everybody that applies to be a supervisor will have clinical experience.
Already.
Because we've got it documented already.
that's what I'm saying, yeah, so we don't need to add.
Yeah, that's what I said, do we need to add it or take it out?
So it makes it redundant in many ways.
Right. So I mean, if we needed to look at their clinical work, we could go back and look at it.
Yeah.
We already have it.
Yeah, already have. So that would be my objection, is I don't think it's serving the purpose that we want more.
Right, I was gonna say, it would be, it might not be, so do we want to just
I honestly think the 2 years is probably
take it as? just
sufficient, yeah, I think that should be sufficient.
Right, because we had talked about that. All right, good, all
Can
right.
I ask you a question?
No, unfortunately, no. You can tell me afterwards, please.
Okay.
It's interesting, we did the survey, and, didn't get a huge response from supervisors. Got 113 responses,
How many?
how many, well, over 1,000.
Terrible response rate.
7%
Terrible response rate.
That was really good, response rate, but hey,
They're busy. I mean, honestly, they're very busy.
the only real, there were still people who said, we need the 200 hours versus 150, but we're not changing that, so that's okay. That's my opinion, but the only other one was that they didn't think, they thought there was enough accountability. It's one of the questions, was the accountability for the supervisor. Most people said yes, but it could be improved. So anyway, that's the only thing that came out of it. The rest of it's kind of like, okay. I mean, it's okay. I'm glad we got the 113. But, and again, what I'd like to do is like, when we finalize this, is to send it back out to the supervisors to get their impression.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, that's where for that, but yeah. Okay, number E is new. Again, trying to clarify about the 6 hour, 3 hour refreshers. I don't know if that's clear language enough or not. Mike might be able to help us with that as far as.
I thought it was pretty clear, but I do have a question.
Well,
So I know that the curriculum for the 6 hour supervision training, like that's pretty clear cut, like it's laid out what needs to be included in those
Well,
trainings. What about the refresher? Like,
it's supposed to cover the same thing. I know. And that was the other little critique in there, that we probably ought to have the refresher be kind of more,
something more.
something advanced.
Yeah, see, I find that with the ethics too, I understand the process behind and that review every year. But it does get sometimes, especially if you go back to the same provider that did it before, it's the exact same thing, right? So that's why I was wondering, like,
Yeah.
do we have like, or several different curriculums that they could choose from? I know it's a little bit of extra work, but maybe there are other pieces in the refresher
Yeah.
that we could focus on that don't cover exactly the same thing. We hit the high points and then there's something else that they focus on. So it's not the same material.
Yeah, I think that.
Every
that's
year.
What we need to look at, but it's gonna be a whole nother piece that we need to look at, yeah, okay. No, and I agree with you on the ethics too, about that ethical too.
Yeah.
No. So that was the other piece about the refresher should be something different than the first.
Do we want to call it a refresher in that case?
I don't like the word refresher.
It does sound like you're going back to the same material.
Yeah. I don't know, I'd like to call it more renewal, since of renewing your, I don't know, 30-year renewal course.
Could we not call it something like additional professional development or something like that? Could we use some alternative language other than refresh?
Oh, yeah. What language we want to agree on to use, that's the, I don't know. But that was the other critique, is that the 3 hour thing should be advanced topics, so to summarize it first, but that's kind of how it's written, and in one sense, I think it's good to look at.
I did too. You know, we could approve some curriculum for several different topics.
Because you could have, you could have a 3 hour session, and it's just on the supervisor relationship itself, or just on evaluations. So that we can, so that's, from what the, that accountability, it's too bad to get on the survey, I think we need to look at. I'm glad you brought it up.
I would like to see the word refresher changed to something
Yeah.
else though.
Yeah, so, it's a word that people. Anyway,
I kind of like professional development with it because that's what they're doing.
it is. It is.
Like advanced,
Yeah.
advanced professional development. There we go, Mark. Great minds think alike.
Or advanced supervision class or something.
Well, and that reinforces their importance too, right? So you are important, so we're gonna invest this in you, and that's important. That's important because they are integral to this, right? And so, changing that language and making it elevates it, I think. Yeah. Refresher kind of sounds like we don't trust you to remember it,
Yeah, right,
Right. and that's not the case, right? Let me remind you.
You said professional development.
Yeah, advanced professional development, right? Yeah. Because this initial 6 hours would be professional development, so this would be
Yeah.
advanced professional development. I like
So hopefully when you are approving with the CU, the content reflects
Yeah.
the name we're trying to give.
Mhm.
If we just change the name, but the content remains the same, so that is not serving any purpose, then making it look good.
That's a very good point.
Right? And so if your content doesn't change, so that's, no point here, right? If we're gonna change this to whatever we come up with,
Yeah,
that means the CU providers have to resubmit their training material to get approval from you with the additional content to demonstrate that's an advanced level of learning.
Yeah.
Right?
well, we don't currently have the additional 3 hours for the refresher, do we? We have the 6 hours. Well, we do have the refresher,
Yeah, we do have it.
But if you're,
but it's the same thing.
basically.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
It's just kind of reviewing it. And so, you know, I'm doing an advanced session for the 3 hours, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree, but that means we need to give the CU, approved CU providers a deadline
Right, we
to
need-
resubmit with the content that we think is advanced enough. If you, we can't be going, people going to the same training,
Right.
calling it advanced, so that's what serving the
Or
purpose.
the approval is only good for a year.
That's okay, then it's maybe
Oh, so
eight months left.
representatives from all
It
individuals.
might be 8 months left or 7 months left, you know.
One, that gives plenty of time then in that process to be able to say, these are the things that we want to see included, or just a couple of different topics and people, because everybody has different interests, different parts they may want to focus on, things that are more interesting to them. Or maybe it's something they're struggling with in supervision and they're like, I need to go to that training because that's what I struggle with the most. I'm good with this, but I need more of this. It kind of meets their needs more too, which is what we're supposed to be here for anyway.
That's good, so
Yeah.
another section to add, anyway.
Sorry.
No, you know, please, we gotta have, you know, we can do better, anyway. If we can take a couple more minutes and you look at section 7, we'll have sections 4 done, because we're changing the word refresher.
I support 6 wholeheartedly.
It's time,
It's time, people are using it regardless,
yeah,
without realizing it should be.
yeah.
And I think it does, represents you, you know, well. Especially if you work in bordering communities, and if you only have LCSW, the assumption is you're probably not a supervision provider. If they use that, so having this probably,
It's a good way to advertise.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yes. And people use this, we use this already.
We good first to include that. So, 7, anything on that one, that's just basic stuff. All right,
Yes.
all right, thank you all very much. One more that in the next meeting. All right, moving on here, I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd like to switch the next 2 items on the agenda. I'd like to talk about the student intern committee being first, and then go back to the cleanup, issue. Or, that's okay. The student intern, I sent you, proposed, some, again, we've, seen this before, but in the, two things that came up at the, student intern meeting last meeting, and, one of these brought about Vanessa, which is, I thought I included, so we can discuss it today for the first time. She suggested that we, add, the master, or another licensure level, on master levels and doctorate, but master level, which is non-clinical, more for macro, et cetera. State didn't do that when we started. We started with 3, and so the CSW has become more like, if you're CSW, you're kind of expected to be clinical.
Yeah.
And it would make a good distinction to have another, have it, and ASW has the exam, so we don't have to, you know, it's just a matter of putting it in the statute. And, you know, then we, you know, so we can do that. I think it's a good idea.
If I had had that option, that's what I would have done, rather than go for, because once, I thought I was gonna be clinical when I started my master's program, and then I was like, I like policy, I like community work, you know,
That's what people do.
but I didn't have an option, and I wanted to be licensed because it adds legitimacy to what we do.
And our CSW license is supposed to be both.
Right.
It's kind of over the time, it's kind of, you know, it's almost like nobody thinks of it that way. You have to explain it.
They don't.
It is not just for clinical. And this would help make a clear distinction between the two. I mean, one, we have to get the law passed, and we have a lot of work to get it done, but I think it's a great idea for us to consider tonight, so I want to bring it up. The other one that came up with that was, you know, the issue with students is to do a provisional license. The next meeting is tomorrow for the student intern. We're, been looking at other states, what they're doing as far as students and provisional license, so those are the issues that, came out of the committee, so that, you know, the biggest issue, 2 big things with provisional license is provisional license would be just for students, but that would be, of course, our first focus because of the issues. One, and it would be, as you can tell from the finances, the money It's not an issue of, okay, we're gonna charge a big fee for this. And the other issue is how would we handle, discipline? And, so we just kicked around some different thoughts. It's sort of like normally, if there's a discipline issue with the student and the internship and stuff like that, that's handled at the university first. We might be able, as a board, consider their investigation first before the board did anything, or I don't know. Those are some of the ideas that we'd have to kick around on it, because again, if you have a provisional license, obviously you have an obligation then to the board, so it'd be, we need to kick around some more of those ideas, but we're looking into what other states are doing before we make the recommendation back to the board, but this one is a good one. Actually, it's like, don't like that, so that would be good, so. Hopefully, after the meeting tomorrow, next meeting, I'll have more what the committee recommends for us to consider. So, want to do that before we run on, because we're meeting with Children's Alliance on Thursday to discuss more of the cleanup of SB 255, which is the telehealth law. In my other life, I was able to send the new law out to licensees, because who did obviously, I mean, it's nothing that, there's no billboard that says the new law was passed and this is what you have to go by. So on my other hat, when I'm doing education notes, I bring it up. And of course, also, I haven't found anybody who knew it existed. And they all go, oh my God, wow. And there are two things that came out that I've gotten feedback on. Was main thing was, the first one was the issue about the non-public facing communication thing that Clinical Society has already brought up as an issue. And then the other was, what is this thing about continuing education? And as we have discussed, we don't know what that means. I mean, it doesn't, it's not clear. We've discussed here that we needed to refine that because nobody knows what it means. And so those are two. And we also had other things that we wanted to add to it. One is that they have to be licensed in Kentucky. If they're going to do telehealth in Kentucky, they need to be licensed. So we submitted that. Back when SB 255 was being proposed, we also suggested adding the emergency suspension to the law, which wasn't. So we're asking for that to be included as a further bill. And as we discussed here last time, change in the definition of social work practice. And you've all seen that. One of the thoughts I had about that one is, sometimes I don't have to kind of go making sure that I'm going by seeing different things. Kind of like with the supervision, are we thinking of other issues other than what's in front of us? And the other thing I thought of was kind of like, do we? And I don't know if we do or not. It's just the question that came up for me. Do we have to say in the practice of social work that it's now in person and virtual, or electronic, or whatever? Do we have to say that? Or is it implied enough? That's where I'll refer to our legal. I mean, do you have to say that these days in order to make sure you're covering that piece of it? We have one on telehealth, but not all our social workers do telehealth, but they do virtual.
Right.
So do we need to put it here? I don't know. I don't know
if you have to. I think it's something you can do.
Yeah.
If you want to make it clear that is included in that definition.
I just don't want people to say, why, I do this online, that's not really social work.
Right.
I mean, could that fly if you didn't have it in there? I don't know. Just a question. This is kind of like, I'm thinking, I've of course read too much about other things, but anyway, there's this thing that there's this projection that you can, one of these days you can take your mind and upload it to a computer and live forever. I think, wow, this is wow. I think, wait a minute, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen in 50 years.
They don't wanna do that with mine.
I know, I
They don't wanna
thought
do that.
I will warn you, I ain't doing that, because y'all don't wanna know.
They don't wanna know all the secret thoughts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm not thinking, but do we have to look for that we're in a whole different world, because laws, this, as you know, this Practice Act was written in 1974.
Mhm.
That was before email and iPhones, and so we're in a whole different world now, and AI is going to impact everything we do. So do we have to say it just to make sure we're covered and not have to amend the law 10 years from now? I don't know. It's just, no, I don't know about that.
Do we know what other states are doing, or are they
I was
mingling out the two?
at the leadership committee, is like, ASJB has a committee that does the Model Practice Act, and they were struggling with the same issue, because they're probably gonna, they call it, we, no, they go, we don't know, they were struggling with, when they were having to ask that same question, do we need to include that?
Maybe we need to look and see if other states are, if
Nobody-
anybody's moved on it yet.
Nobody that they knew of had moved.
Had moved on it.
But they said that as a committee from the different states that they were from, they said as a committee, they were struggling with, do we need to include that because of that shift? And they are looking at putting it in the Model Practice Act. I go, well, it's probably good. I wanted to ask the question because it didn't occur to me. And they go, it occurred to us as well. I said, well, I'm glad, because it probably, you don't know. I don't know where to go. So, yeah, it might be better to have it in there than not. I don't know. So if our legal can research
Take
that.
a look at it.
Yeah, take it, give us, does it or not? I mean,
You know, when I think about it, the more I think about that, I think maybe it is important to separate those, because when I think of when I think, especially in rural Kentucky, how we still struggle to get people out of this 1950s idea of social work
yes.
to more modern social work. And I think that would go maybe a long way in helping people to understand these are not friendly visitors anymore, and it's not,
Right.
that we've evolved a long way from that. Maybe it is, I don't know, I can see both sides of it.
Yeah,
This is
right.
hard. This is hard.
This is hard, yeah, it
It's
is.
a tough one.
Think about it, because that's what the committee on Thursday, or meeting, we're looking at drafting a bill. Not just, but taking the telehealth, because we had proposed the emergency suspension for good reason. Because, especially if you have somebody impaired or whatever, and there could be harming people, we can't do anything until we go through this long process. So, but it's hard, it's not easy, so, but anyway, on that, so that's that, anyway, any questions or any other thoughts about that? Okay,
Are we gonna table that idea and bring it up at another time?
what's that?
What we're just talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it at the meeting Thursday, and we'll bring it up again. Yeah, it's not a done deal. It's just, we'll wait, see, and we'll wait for legal input on it too. And I'll probably call the people on the NSWB committee and see what they're looking at.
anybody's
See if
the move
anybody-
yet.
Yeah. And whether we should go that way or not. So, yeah, that's, on the, okay. And our listening session, September 20th, everybody. Did people join? And board members, but it's for the public. We're advertising this as, the topic is graduate student exam and licensing process. Okay? Okay? Nice, graduate student exam, so it's not bachelor's level, it's graduate level. Not that bachelor's level can't join the call, join in, that's not the issue, it's just our focus is on the licensing process. So
What's the time for that?
it's 11:30, Central, 12:30 Eastern.
Who is presenting?
Well, the board sponsoring it. So it's a Zoom meeting, so anybody who wants to join, they can join.
Are you the speaker or what?
Mark and I,
Mark?
Are we gonna, send out the link or?
yeah, post it on the website, post it on Facebook, yeah. Anybody requests.
If you'll share it with us, I'd be more than happy to put it with the Kentucky Association of Social Work Educators and send it out to them. So I think that'd be important for them as well. Oh, perfect.
So. Got that, and then, all right, any other old business for us? Okay, Leila, Laura, Tiffany, thank you. Okay, with your other thing, all right. New business, and the first one, we just have to pass on that one, because that's Briglin's issue that he wanted to talk about to us about. I don't know if he probably sent anything to you. I didn't think so, so, we won't. He's got it all.
You know, like, just off all together.
Lawyers tend not to speak
You'll
off
pass
the
on this one.
Lawyers tend not to speak off the cuff. The politicians and.
Had to offer, had to offer.
Yeah, all right, next thing is election of officers, this is August, and that's our process, we elect officers every August, and we elect today, I guess if they take the office next month. That's kind of how our, there's nothing, that's our standard. There's no statute for that, it just says we have to do it annually, so this is what our annual is. Whitney's not here, but the current officers, myself as chair, Whitney as vice chair, and Laura as secretary. The three officers are agreeable to be renominated, and elected again, and the floor is open, for nominations, for the officers. We go one by one or do them all together. So,
Let's do it all together. Unless anyone has a different.
not that. You're new, so.
I'll make a motion that we accept everybody all together and let their current offices stand.
Tiffany, Laura.
Yeah, good. Hi. Hi.
Okay. Motion in a second, any further discussion? Aye, in favor, aye.
Hi.
Same time, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for the contribution you made to our board.
Absolutely.
I remember walking in here 2.5 years ago and being very, very shocked. Okay, and it's a public knowledge, the state of our board was not how I thought it would be as a licensed social worker. I remember walking in here and really saying, what have I put myself in? And then you single-handedly have made this possible, the journey, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I can't say no, but I actually worry we have this conversation. I worry what happens after Hank. Because you've set the standard so high, so hopefully we have someone else equally gifted and willing to take over, but you brought our board a long way. It's amazing to see how we function, so.
So what I'm hearing you say is that Hank has to mentor the next person. That's just what I'm hearing.
We actually.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Hank is always gonna be here.
It's a distinct honor. When I was appointed to the board, I was stunned because I never thought anybody, I'm from Mayfield, I'm way down on the west end of the state. I, submitted my application after some people pestered me. I thought, well, to keep them satisfied and I'll pester it.
Sounds
Then I
familiar.
call, yeah, but again, it's an honor to serve on the board and, I appreciate that because I, as you told y'all before, appreciate y'all sticking in here and staying with it. You called it left long time ago because, and you're staying on board because, of the nature of what we new people came into, including our new staff. That we, as I told Mark before, we've come a long way, and we really have, and I really appreciate all their hard work, all of y'all's willingness to stick in with this, and we've had a couple of long meetings, and I know that's, but again, stay with it, because this is you don't get a whole lot of thanks for doing this job, but, we have come, and again, it's the openness, it's the willingness to hear different ideas, it's willingness to go, okay, we can't change what happened in the past. We just have to go forward and go, we have a responsibility to our citizens, we have a responsibility to our licensees,
we have a responsibility to our schools, really. I'm not sure that's always been there. That's been one of my own things. I'm not sure we've always been responsible to our educators and to our students. I've seen a separation of that, and that's what I wanted to not have. We're all one profession. Yes, we're the regulators, okay, all right, but we're part of that. We have to be in support of that, because otherwise the profession doesn't go on. We can't be barriers to that, right? We have to, and things have changed. I mean, things changed since I became. So, we gotta update things, we gotta live and overcome some of the things that's happened in the past. We have to go, well, that wasn't too good. And if we make a mistake, we have to go, well, that wasn't too good either. I mean, we just have to own it and be where we are. And so I appreciate y'all's willingness to stick in here with this process. Santos has done an excellent job of helping us with the whole community. So now you got on this board, so if you want to serve on this board, you do have to know this. I really want you to keep in mind that it's a political appointment. That's part of it, but you have to have something to offer and bring to the profession. And not just here to grind an axe of some sort, that we are here to serve our licensees. Anyway, thank y'all. And last thing on the agenda, y'all have the job evaluations.
Yes.
And it's the next, we have to do that next month. That's what we set that process. I don't know if we want to change that or not, move it to August if it was too much, because it does make an extra meeting. A town, because we have to go into that commission to review the evaluations for our staff and all that. So it does take extra time. So I didn't know if you want to do it next month or move it. It's up to us to move it. We wanted to, that was something that we established as a board, that was something to improve, is to do this annually and do it in a structured way and not kind of just let it go on and do it. So if you want to do it next month, we can, or delay it to October. That's up to you.
So what's preventing us from doing it next month?
No,
What's the
I know that. I just want to make sure, because again, you have to realize the next month meeting will be a little bit longer, because we'll have our normal meeting, then we'll have to go into closed session and look at the evaluation for Mark and look at his evaluation for Vanessa, and then, do that. You've got the forms in your handout, so, and there's a self-assessment part. If staff, Mark and Vanessa can get that done in the next week, then if the board members can do, you only have to do Mark's, Mark has to do his own, Vanessa's, and then get that to me by at least, kind of the week before the meeting, so I can collate it all, bring it here. Last year was, hopefully it won't be as long, because last year was our first time. Since we did it once, it might not be as hard to go through.
Mark, Vanessa, what works best for y'all next month or October? I mean, you know what busy seasons you have, what would work best for you?
When's the October? You have an October meeting? For NCD?
No,
No, it's November. Okay, sorry.
we can't do it.
October would work better.
Would that work better?
Yeah.
I'm good.
If it would work better, I probably wanted, last year, it seemed like September wasn't the best month for you guys.
Yeah, it's people,
So,
you know, slow in August.
That's what I was thinking, we have to take care of you all in this, that's why I asked about your
so if
busy
it
period.
worked better for you in October, I don't have a problem delaying it to October. I think that's okay. Well, you've got that with this line out process before October meeting. Okay. All right. This motion. I think so. Okay. All right.
After we can.
You're going to do a great job. Just gotta put this in right, right?
Yeah. Okay, any other new business? Okay, time for announcements.
All right, we've got our first virtual ASW, Kentucky and Indiana conference at the end of September. On October 1st, Hank is going to be doing some chatting on that about AI. We're excited. We're going to be starting our social work lobby day kickoff. So we want it to be 365-24, not just on 2/25/25 excited about that. We're also piloting, and it's just kind of an informal right now with Sandra Starks and Renee Sarton, looking at hypnosis and the support of hypnosis to help people who are having difficulty passing the ASWB exam. Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and obviously looking at, alternative pathways and things, but we really feel that is something that, I think is a worthy avenue to check out. And I want to agree, Santosh, where y'all were 2 years ago, where we were 2 years ago. Thank you, every single one in here and on camera. And yes, I do think we're gonna have to weekend at Bernie's Hank. So Hank, when you take that last breath, we're putting you up in the car, but you're not here every month, so. But thank you all, and, yeah, so lots of exciting things happening, and, we're just really glad that it's so good now.
Thank you. Do you have anything you wanted to, you said you had a comment earlier? You
If I was just wanting to know about I got that supervision piece. Whenever, if I was looking to be, well, not to be a supervisor, if I was looking for a supervisor, but that person hasn't done clinical work in, let's say, 2 to 5 years, I guess that was my only hiccup, was how involved they had been with clients to be able to support me as I was, if that was my path. So that's the only thing that I was like, that's kind of,
Yeah.
but I guess if we had like a profile page or something, we could say specifically like, I do clinical work, or I do administrative or policy, something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of where hope we can get to
Okay.
with hopefully, I'd love to have a page on the website where people could do that. Supervisors could do that. I think that would be, so you would know when you're looking for a supervisor,
Yes.
what's their background, kind of what they can talk about. You can join, people can join a service, there's like called Motivo that does that, there's only, last I looked, I think there's only like 5 from Kentucky on it. It's kind of, it's okay. I mean, yeah. I don't know, I think supervisors can join it for free, I think. As far as I know.
I think so too, because I recently looked at it as well. I can't remember who told me about it, but I was fascinated by it.
I think it's a good thing, but it's more across the United States, so I would like to have one that's more like you.
Did you look at that a whole lot? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that they're also offering to help people find practicum placements, which made me very nervous.
Yeah, right, yeah, they were starting to do that. And I was going,
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm happy getting out of their realm.
yeah.
I thought that was.
They will offer to help you find practicum placements and supervisors. I mean, I was like, whoa. At first I thought, well, that's really interesting, because if you have an online program, you got people everywhere, maybe it could help you make connections. But when I was reading it more,
Yeah,
it seemed very invasive. And
yeah.
as an educator, it just made me go, I don't know if I want to.
I agree.
But I think a lot of places are using it. I think I saw UK as listed on there. I think I saw Spalding, maybe in a couple of other places that were using it. So
But I think I agree with you, it needs a lot of oversight, and I think when you've got colleges UK supposedly has 7,200 MSW students starting this fall.
wow.
Maybe started,
7,200?
so yeah, and again, in general, the monitoring of the practicums, especially if they're not in state, is a huge concern. You're gonna have people doing so much out of scope of practice. It's
How
gonna be
many
a
field
nightmare.
directors do they have for that?
Well, that's the real problem. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that's it.
That's a whole other conversation. I know, but the educator in me, my head was spinning with that many, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were listed on there, that's all.
I think Spalding, there was one in the Louisville area, I think too, it may not have been Spalding, but there's quite a few schools in Kentucky listed as utilizing the service. Maybe we should talk to some of them to find out
Okay.
how it's working.
See that?
I would be happy
It's
to.
good what it is. I think it'd be great. I know, good educating, little help. Because again, it's like, it needs to be done because students need internships, but when you get into the World Wide Web, I get really nervous because I see it.
Well, I think of what we found with some of those educational companies like U2 and some of those others, that there tends to be, it seems really great on the surface, but the application, and it falls apart. And I worry because this is a new program, when that'll happen for this one, or when the lawsuits begin and that sort of thing. Because it is problematic.
Our students
There's no
Students are- I look
CSE.
at, from my perspective, I look at sometimes students are vulnerable, just like clients are.
Oh, very much so.
They can be taken advantage of. And
Absolutely.
I've seen it too many times. I haven't-
Well, and they're, if I'm not mistaken, it's for a fee for them. So for educators to involve, it's for a fee for students.
It is,
So,
it is.
everything's fee based, I guess. So anyway, I'll take a look at it and see what I can find out.
That'd be great. Bring it back, let us know. Get it on here.
Absolutely.
Okay. You reminded me of a thought I had years ago about the board. I don't know whether it's probably time to bring this up, but I'll bring it up before I get to it. I always thought the board needed to, the structure of boards are always painful, okay, because of the way it's worked. For the social work, we're already licensed, we're not just social work, but I always thought it would be good for the social work board to have an advisory committee of like past board members or chairs.
Oh, yeah.
To serve for a year or two to help with that whole issue.
Yeah.
I think that would be, and again, there's nothing, I think it. You can't have a committee.
They're not voting. I don't know why
They're
that
not
would
voting, it would be, but it'd be getting people that would be interested.
Having that memory
Yeah.
of what's happened and what's tried and what's discussed.
I think other jurisdictions have something similar that was discussed, during our conference in DC.
Yeah.
That they had, so at least one of those jurisdictions had a component similar where the outgoing official stays
Stays for.
in some capacity to,
And help
you can
with
call
that.
mentor or guide or just be there.
That makes sense. I mean, we encourage students to seek out consultation
Yeah,
and supervision, and we encourage practicing people, and we're practicing, right? Just in a different sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we seek that guidance?
Right, that's,
Yeah.
that's, so,
From my observation, it's obviously having someone who understands the regulatory process and is vital. I realize how important it is for someone as a board member to be there, because for common layman, as just a licensed clinical social worker, that's a foreign topic. To be able to read it and make sense out of it and understands how, so having someone who has an idea, the knowledge to pass on to the next person would be vital. It's, and I think some of
And
that.
that to the to-do
Yeah,
list.
And so some of the, I don't wanna use the term dysfunction, but some of the lack of, work that had happened previously, I think stem from somebody not having the knowledge. Of how, and it can be a scary task. So sometimes people just ignore it because it's too much,
all right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, all in favor? As I said, if you want to object, stay here, go for it.
And if there's anything you need from me on this part here. Yes. Okay, I'll do that now. And these items as well. Yes. Okay.
Right there. I'm telling you. You're the one.
There we go, thank you. Alrighty. Oh, you want to see that?
Yes. Ah. All righty.